Okay, perfect, perfect.
Yeah, as long as you need.
Yeah.
How'd the tournament go?
Hmm?
How'd the tournament go?
Good one. I
Okay.
went to check my form. Pretty decent, pretty decent.
Feeling
So
ready? Yeah,
I've probably more than ready. So I'll
amazing.
feel
Yeah,
very good.
very
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So we are live for sure. I'm here with Auden Larratt, and today we're gonna talk King of the Table and everything arm wrestling. Good to see you again.
Great to see you, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you have big last name, so your name is already big, and definitely I can from the chatter online I can feel the weight, right, that it has. We're gonna talk about that. First, how you feeling? You will have your. It's not your first international debut. You already had the Arm Wars, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Uh, but this is King of the Table. You
Mhm.
just were we were there at King of the Table 10. We had good
Yeah.
time, and this match kind of came about in the middle of that, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So it really started. It all kind of started being in the talks at East versus West 9, I believe. We started discussing the possibility of a match, or was
Yeah,
it? Yeah, East versus West 9 for the Hermes match. There
yeah.
was a possibility. We started discussing it, and then it got much more cemented when we were actually at the last King of the Table 9.
So with Whisperer,
Yes,
um, how old are you?
I'm 19.
He's older, right?
Yes, I'm not sure exactly the age, but he's closer to 30. He's late 20s, somewhere in the area.
Okay, so we're two teens here, and he's much older guy. Uh,
Exactly.
but you are bigger, right?
I am. Yes, I'm a bit taller than him and a bit heavier.
A bit taller or taller?
Taller, definitely taller, but he's got like boots that he wears that makes him taller as well. So we'll be close. We'll be close in height.
So you haven't pulled him, right?
I have never pulled him. No, I've always wanted to though. This is a guy that I've grown up in the sport watching. Like I love this guy's stuff, the stuff he puts out. I think it's great for the casual fan and for the new arm wrestler to get hooked and be like, oh, who's this guy? I want to learn how to beat up some random guys on the street and just crush them. So it's always good to see somebody publicizing that side of the sport. So I've never pulled him, but I've pulled guys that he has pulled. So I kind of have an idea of where he is.
Hmm. Um, will you whisper to him in the middle of match? That's the you got it right.
If I can, of course I will. Of course, I will do my best to whisper to him, because I mean it's his thing. I couldn't not. Like,
Right.
of course I
Yeah.
have to, but I have to get in that position first, and it's a big ask.
Yeah. Because I think for him it's also like he's a big TikTok star, right?
Yep.
He's bringing a lot of eyeballs on arm wrestling. He's doing great. For him, like I didn't really know about him before the videos, right? So he's a decent arm wrestler for sure. I don't know, like strength wise, it's very hard to figure out where both of you are.
Exactly.
Um, Adam Silver has pulled both of you.
Uh-huh.
Uh, right? I mean, he thinks you're stronger, so
Okay,
that's
well
not
that's
bad.
good to know.
That's good to know.
Yeah, because I've also pulled Gabriel Young. That was the other guy that I've done things. Because
Yeah.
Gabriel Young, I pulled a lot with him. Like we had the actual super match. Like I think we did a 5 round, and then we did a bunch table time. So I know where he is, and I know they're close. And Biker's always been a little bit better than him. So
Mhm.
I mean, styles make matches. Biker has a much better hand than Gabriel does, and that's how I was able to beat Gabriel. So it's interesting to me. It's very interesting how it'll work.
Mm. So this is definitely like a big hype match, I think, right?
No, yeah.
Well, and kind of your introduction to the world, right? This is legacy match for sure. I already saw that like you and your father are very similar. Like there's a lot of things you both do, just not even thinking about it, just the same. I saw a lot of trash talk. Are we gonna see a lot of trash talk, or it's just
It's hard for me to say for sure. The issue with me is I really like this guy and I really look up to this guy, and I can't be like a total like terrible person to him because I really do like him. I really think he's a great guy. If it comes to it, of course there'll be some trash talk, but I'm not going to go nearly as far as my dad and just really dig into him. But I'll test him a bit. I'll see what he has to say.
Yeah, I feel like you don't lack any confidence, so that's going to be definitely the thing that you like. You feel very confident, right?
I am very confident. I am definitely the strongest I've ever been. That's without a doubt. All my numbers reflect that. All my matches with people reflect that. When I have practice table time, when I actually compete with guys, right now I feel very, very good. So he's gonna have to bring his total A game to be able to beat me.
Hmm. That's good to know because
Mhm.
I'm trying to get him also on a pod, and I'll be interested, hearing what he thinks about this match, about you. Stylistically, do you think you are a bad matchup for him? Because he likes to hook, right? He likes to be deep in a hook. You're much longer leverages. You're definitely gonna top roll, but I don't think you're shy from hooking as well, right?
No, I recently have actually found a more of a love for hook. I quite like a high hook. Good high hook is perfect for me. I am recently just really trying to diversify and be able to do and be able to pull in every style because I feel like it's necessary at some points. If you're can't top roll a guy and you're stuck on top roll with a guy, why not try a hook? And it's good to have it and not need it than need it not have it. So
Mm.
Biker, his main thing is a catching hook, catches in the super nanny position and tries to bleed a guy out from there and go to the offense. For me, that has given me issues before. When I pulled this guy Dimi Luchev in nationals, he has a very similar style, and at the time I didn't really know how to deal with it properly, and he gave me some serious issues. Luckily, I found out ways around it and improved a lot since then. But definitely stylistically, it's interesting because it goes one of two ways. I can either beat his hand and totally destroy him, or I can't, and then he's got me caught. And it's hard to top roll a guy when he already has his hook totally set in. So it could be interesting. Could be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely see. Preparation. Are you training together with Devon and Milo and every
Yeah,
day?
of course, every day. I'm always trying to get lots of table time. Recently, I'm cutting back a little bit on table time and just focusing on the weights because I've done so much table time in preparation for this already. And every time I do like a really hard table time session, my workout the next day isn't quite as good. It's not quite as heavy. It's not quite as painless as I would like. So I like to as it gets closer to the match, cut back a bit on the table time and focus more on just my lifts, my numbers, do like a power phase, really be healthy and ready to go.
In a summer before Hermes match, you went to Istanbul and
Yes.
you spent 2 weeks or a week with Engin.
Yeah, it was a week before and then a week like leading up to the event. So 2 weeks in Istanbul, but 1 week hardcore with Engan. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Tell me about that experience.
Incredible. Engan is an arm wrestling genius. He showed me so much that I noticed my level drastically increase after spending a lot of time with Engan just because of how he arm wrestles, how he pulls on the table. I reflected a lot of that into my training and my style that I realized he just showed me some stuff that it was so obvious to me that I wasn't doing right. And I wasn't training exactly properly. There were some things lacking. There were some weaknesses I had. And just being with him and being able to pull with him and him teaching me, it was incredible. It was an experience like no other. It was he showed me so many just amazing things. The really end of the day, I'm just so grateful for that, and he taught me a lot.
Was there something like it was real like how was like scheduling the training? It was just like in a gym table or exercise or a mix of everything?
Yeah, so what we do is we'd wake up, we'd walk with Eng into the gym, and we'd train for like a couple hours, probably like 4 or 5, and then we'd walk back and eat the rest of the night. So it was good. But we would do a kind of split. We would mostly he'd pick the exercises of the day. We'd focus on those, and then maybe squeak in some table time at the end. There would be some designated table time days where it's like we trained a little bit before, but then just table time a lot. Yusuf was there as well, so was Nisa. So we had a couple different levels. So it was perfect. It worked out really well. there was uh there was a couple days I remember where we really side pressure intensive, and I don't do a lot of side pressure training. At least I hadn't before that. So
Mhm.
those ones really beat me up. Like after those, my inner elbow was just cooked, totally destroyed. But it was good. It was very important.
Very important. Very good. I think it's a amazing experience you had, right? You see, because Devon has his own. Devon's training always evolving. It's never the
Yeah,
same. So he has gone through phases. Every time I talk with him, it's completely different, right?
all the
Uh,
time.
because I feel like now even more with stem cells, he's changing, growing up, right? So turning into abomination or something. So it's good to have different perspectives, and as well,
Exactly.
you get on table with Neil Pickup. Neil has totally different look,
Hmm.
right? Compared, let's say, to
Yeah,
Eng, right?
totally, totally
Neil's
different.
style, yeah. Uh, Arm Wars. Tell me about your first Arm Wars experience. You had that was again after Hermes match, right?
Yes, it was. It was a couple days after. We went straight
Yeah.
from Istanbul over to Manchester. Yeah, it was good. That
You
was that was a really good event. That was my first introduction to the real world of sport. Like I hadn't been anywhere before that whole trip, so it was like 3 weeks for me of just. I went to Yalova, I went to Istanbul, I went to Manchester, and it was like I trained up, I watched the match, and I competed. So it was amazing for me. The whole Arm Wars experience is incredible. How they do it, the production value, it's very high. I love the whole arm wrestling house idea. That's so cool to me. The whole thing where all the arm wrestlers live together, stay together, and have a competition. I love that format.
matches. How was the matches? You won the first one, you lost the second one, right? That's if
Correct.
I'm correct.
Yes. Yes. So
How
so
was the experience of Arm Wars, right? It's a little different than anything else, right? You competed in
very
tournament and then you go there, it's
Yeah, yeah. So Arm Wars was very different to me. I'd never done a battleground before, and it made me realize I don't like them. I don't like battlegrounds. I feel like they just totally destroy me. They totally rip my body apart. Like I had my first super match. It was hard. It was 5-1, but the first match took a lot out of me from him opening me all the way because I hit all the way and I lost everything. So it didn't work out great. But then it took a lot. I mean, the setup, every load, every setup just took like every listening is probably an arm wrestler. You know what it's like to set up and hit 6 times in a row and then have to go again. So the next match it hurt me, that's for sure. But I learned a lot from a nil. I learned a lot about speed. I learned a lot about just commitment to the hit right away. It was a very good experience overall. It was I'm glad it went the way it did. If I'd showed up and beat both of them, it wouldn't have been as good of a learning experience. But because I beat one of them and then lost the other, I really got a sense of where my level was, and it taught me a lot about endurance, like setup, potential saving energy. A lot of things were learned that day.
what are your aspirations right now in a sport?
Be the greatest I can be. Those
Mm.
are my aspirations. I am really focused on long term right now. I am as much as possible avoiding weight classes just so I can be as like just keep going up, keep building muscle, filling up my frame, and not worrying about having to go on a calorie deficit or any kind of water cuts and kind of like do a little drop and then come back up. I know it's not gonna totally destroy me, but I want to get as big as I can and I want to get as strong as I can and just work towards the end goal of being a very high level arm wrestler.
That is like that's very great idea because you're just you will go where you are right now, and people are always cutting down weight and staying in the same weight class and pulling there. It's I think it definitely takes down from your progress, right? When you can like just go up and somewhere your body settles and it's like this
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
good, right, and just stay there. That's a good strategy. That's a very good strategy. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Did you come up with this?
Yeah, I mean it's inspired by a lot of people. It to me it's the obvious way for long term. Like if I'm looking at long term success, it's if I win and lose right now, it doesn't matter. Like it does not matter.
Yeah.
If I show up in a weight class, if I show up in some weight class that I shouldn't actually be in and could cut and lose, it's not gonna affect my end result. Like 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, it's not gonna matter if I lost because I was too heavy for a weight class.
Mm.
It's not gonna matter. So that's what I'm really trying to focus on. It's a hard thing to really commit to because everybody loves winning and everybody loves cutting down to a weight class and just smoking everybody, but it's the smart thing to do, I think.
I think you're onto something because you're definitely going to be a super heavyweight. You have the frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
You like heavyweight, super heavy. That's definitely right. It's
Yeah,
weird
exactly.
if you were not, right? You can be a lightweight puller with that frame, right?
Not at all. No. Yeah, my days of 176s are over. That's for sure.
Mine too, but for other reasons. I'm
Yeah,
the opposite. I'm just
exactly. Widened. Yeah.
short and thick. So, how was it growing up in a house of arm wrestling? Because that like the arm wrestling was in your house since you were
Yeah.
right, right?
Yeah.
But you just got into it maybe 2 years ago, like really? So
About a year and a half.
tell
Uh-huh.
me how it was growing up, and tell me what made this change in you.
Yeah. So growing up, I'm sure there's pictures out there of me like the day I was born, grabbing onto my dad's finger, and he's like arm wrestling me. So I really have come out of the womb arm wrestling. I think I competed my first like nationals when I was like 3 or 4, and I've like because my dad traveled for tournaments, I would come with him, hang out, and compete in the kids class. So I have competed in arm wrestling pretty much 19 years. Like I have competed multiple times a year, every year of my life, as long as I can remember. And as I grew older, I got like spurts of seriousness for arm wrestling where I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm gonna get great at this. And I'll train, like I train a bit for a month, but I always kind of train wrong. My dad would just was very encouraging. He'd never really tell me exactly what to do. He'd just be like, oh, anything helps. And he was very just supportive of everything I wanted to pick. So he didn't want to make me become an arm wrestler. But I gradually got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'd say I was either 14 or 15. I really got hardcore into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and started pursuing that more than arm wrestling. And I was training really hard for that. But I think it was a year and a half ago, I blew my left shoulder. I totally ripped it out. I tore like every ligament. It was really bad. And it kind of stopped me from doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I was just sitting there in my sling thinking, what can I do? Like, what can I want to do something. But I had my right arm free. So I started training for arm wrestling a bit. And as soon as I started seeing the progress and getting really back into the sport, I fell in love from there. And ever since then, 100% dedication.
There was no like pressure because I like a lot of times when I because I never heard it from Devons, right?
Mm-hmm.
He kind of like I think as a father he wants you to
Of
all his
course.
children to come into the sport, right? He loves it. Why shouldn't you love it, right? But it didn't feel like there was like a pressure, like oh let's do this, you have to do this. It was just like you want to do this, you can do this.
No, totally. That's exactly how it was. He was supportive of everything we did. He really loved BJJ when I started it as well. Like he even got a membership and started like coming out every once in a while and training a bit. But he's always supported everything we've done. But of course he loves arm wrestling. Of course he wants us to arm wrestle. That's just a given. And the pressure was never there to really fit into any certain category of an arm wrestler or a strength athlete. He just wanted to us to be happy with whatever we did and to be great at whatever we do. So he gave me many opportunities in my life to pick other ways and other paths, but I ended up settling with arm wrestling.
And we will see. We will see very soon, right? It's a big debut. A lot of eyes going to be in there, and yeah, the whole card is looking very good. Also, there's two, if I'm correct, both not 90, they're already 20-year-olds.
Yeah,
Bacho
young,
versus
young for sure.
Bacho and Reno, right?
What a match! What a match!
Right. Bacho is the chosen one. Reno is already he's been chosen many times, and
Oh yeah.
both are very impressive. Somehow in the World Championship, we didn't have a chance to see them compete with each other.
Mhm.
Uh, they were in the same class, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's your favorite in that match?
For me, I've got to go with Reno. I've got to say Reno's going to get him just because we've seen so much more from Reno. We've seen him prove himself time and time again just to be an incredible arm wrestler. And although we've seen the same with Bacho, we've seen him beat Adam, we've seen him do very well in WAF. The issue is we haven't seen quite as much.
On
And
the same level, in my opinion.
exactly on the same level is what I mean. Yeah. We haven't
Yeah.
seen him like Reno's beaten Sanders now, which is just insane. So I've got to go with Reno. I've got to in this one, but yeah, I'm sure it could go either way. I'm sure Bacho could shock the world.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be war. I think it's definitely gonna be a war there.
Who do you have for
Um,
that one?
I also go with Reno, just from what all I have. I think Bacho's hand is very, very dangerous.
Yes, yes,
But I think he will not be used to the speed of Reno. And we saw already what Reno did with Ivan, right? When
incredible.
I really thought there's not a lot of chances. Turns out there was. Turns out it's right. Give him a year or two. Kid's
Yeah,
amazing.
that
Kid's
is a
amazing.
freaky fast press.
Yeah. Uh, but what are your some like you can't say Devon, but some of your favorite arm wrestlers to watch? Like you watch him, you just so sometimes I see arm wrestling as beautiful, right? There's some guys that pull just beautiful, right?
Yeah,
Last event, one of my favorites is Mindaugas, and he pulls beautifully.
that was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your like? Give me top three maybe.
For me, I'd say my favorite arm wrestler to watch, other than my dad, is definitely Travis Bajan. I wish he was more active. Just he is one of the best cheaters in the sport, and I love watching somebody who can really manipulate the setup because it just shows me so many tricks and just great things. I think if people want to get better at arm wrestling and they're like, "Oh, how what do I do to learn?" Watch Travis, watch watch my dad, watch the setup, watch how people set up and how they exploit the refs, which is a bad thing to say, but it's part of the sport. But Travis, I'd say, is my number one favorite to watch. Next, I really like to watch Kurtagali Ongarbayev. He
Hmm.
is incredible. His technique is so crisp. I think he is very, very good. The stylistic matchup for him and Todd was too bad because I feel like him and Daddy Can is a match I'd like to see at 105 because he might be able to pull something out. And just how he moves on the table and how he's comfortable in every position is very good. And then for number three, recently I've loved watching Todd Hutchings just because I used to discount him. I used to be like, oh, he's just side pressure up to the side, and then I really paid attention to his technique and realized it was so much more than that, and that his style is actually just incredible. I like to even call it almost a King's move. I think it's almost he's ripping in the side. It's almost like a Michael Todd King's move with more side pressure, of course. But he's opening up, he's ripping to the side, ripping up that pronation, giving away the hand. Fundamentally, you could call it a King's move. So I'd say those are my top three.
I understand. I understand. That's a good top three. That's good. I like how you put Travis there. So Whisper should be worried about you manipulating the setup a lot.
Oh, of course. I mean, of course.
We'll get referees that don't speak any English. They'll just say
Perfect.
knuckle, 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 right? And you just like say
Yeah,
go.
exactly. Yeah.
Is Devin also coming over? He's gonna be in your
I don't think so. I think he's focusing on Levon right now. I think my mom's coming with me, so I'll have the best corner person in the entire world.
okay.
And yeah, that'll be it. And I think potentially I can get him on call if I need like technique advice, but I think my mom is perfect corner.
Oh, she definitely, and she knows arm wrestling, and
Exactly.
it's always I like when there's order, but I love chaos, right?
Chaos is way cooler.
Yeah, it's way cool. I like when there's some order, right? But when something just goes like this, I'm like watching a movie, and it just got interesting, right? And every time Johnny's there, you never know what's gonna happen, right?
People love drama. People tune in for drama. Order's great, but people love to see when the world goes crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And it's for me it's very interesting match, right? I met you. I don't know much about Whisper. I just say so if he beats you, like I know you're strong, so he might be on the rise. Because
Yeah,
I want to get him over for some different match. We already talked about it, right? So let's see. But I hope you will spoil the party because I think you will. I think stylistically, it's just going to be. He needs to be a lot stronger.
he
He needs to.
does. He needs to be a lot stronger.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He could be. It's possible. He could be stronger than me.
Plus,
But
it's
uh,
those 6 rounds. It's a thing, right? You can get tired, adrenaline can
hundred
drop,
percent, 100%.
but you both will be quite equal because of the jet lag will be pretty same, right?
Yeah, very similar. Not too much difference at all. So it'll be
Uh,
good.
maybe you can help because you met my opponent a few times, right? You met Robbie.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell me about Robbie.
he's very strong. He comes from a powerlifting background, so fundamentally very strong in the biceps and everywhere. Just his whole body is very strong. He is he's still newer. He's not like a really seasoned arm wrestler, so you can maybe use some of that like newest, like new, like rookie almost. You can use that to your advantage. You can use the years under your belt to maybe mess them a bit in the setup or different things like that. But he's a powerhouse. He's a strong guy, and he is up and coming. I would say. I think he is going to be very good. He's already so strong. You see what he did to Froda? It was very impressive.
Yeah, I was
That's a
watching
strong
the match.
guy.
I was looking at it. I'm like, because I didn't know. I didn't ask Frode.
Yeah,
I knew they pulled, and I didn't ask Neil for results. I wanted to be surprised, and I'm like, this is interesting. This is interesting, and yeah, I was looking. I know he's new, but yeah, like he might be the next guy from USA on the rise. Looks
he's very
very
good.
dedicated. Um, looks great on table, but like you said, like there's some nuances he asked for this match, so I
Yeah.
just you know I know I'm you done with when am I down the road? Which match am I?
I'd say you're still a bit away. You're not quite coming up yet. I've got a couple before you, but at some point, I'm coming for you.
Okay, I know that. I know that. Devon told me. Devon's like, we have this whole plan,
Yeah.
the list, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
why not? Why not? Um, so also on our card, the main event is the rematch.
hmm
I don't know maybe you know something I don't know about Dave. Is Dave like it's some time off since his last matches? I think he did some treatments and everything.
Yeah.
Can they do the same thing, or is it gonna be Vitali?
I mean, that's the thing. Everybody discounted Dave last time. Everybody said he was done, and then he had no chance, and then he beat him. And I think Dave has been kind of on a slight decline right now just because of his neck. He had some serious neck issues. My dad beat him pretty bad. Rivas beat him pretty bad. He lost to Camille. I he's been hurt. Like he's been hurt. I think this time off might have been really good for him. He might have totally healed up. He got the stem cells in his neck. He got a bunch of treatments.
Hmm.
I think we might see a very high level of Dave on that day. And I mean, Vitali seems to have an issue with how Dave pulls. Like that style seemed to give him some issues. And yes, Vitali's better than he was. And yes, he's heavier. And yes, he's a full time arm wrestler now. But it doesn't mean everything. It does not mean everything. I think I say Vitali's a favorite, but there's a chance that Dave comes in healthy and ready and gives us a serious match.
Hmm. For me, it's how much Vitali learned from the last one, how much Dave learned from the last one, right? If Dave feels like Dave, he's always, in my opinion, always dangerous, right?
Yeah,
But after his recent matches, I took him out from top 10 in super heavyweights, right? And I think just fitting. If he beats Vitali again,
back
he's
up
right
there.
back,
Back up there. Yeah.
right back, and maybe even higher than he was before. But for Vitali, like he needs that press. There was no press, and he maybe could have done much better with Hermes if he could have press. Maybe that's something he's working on.
Yeah. Definitely an option for him. And so he's got such long levers and he's so tall that the press should be there. He should be able to get his body behind it. Like a lot of guys have issues with pressing if they're like massive and can't like physically get their body there. Vitali shouldn't have an issue with that. So if he works on that, he can develop that for sure, no issues.
Yeah. Well, that is like the big question, right? Um,
Yeah,
so there's how is the mood in house? Do you feel like is Devon mentally, physically prepared? I know he was sick and
yeah,
he wasn't happy, right? Because he wants to train every day, right? And I texted him and he's like, I'm like, how you doing? He's like, I'm sick as a dog, still pushing. I'm like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
get a little healthy. And then how is the mindset? How is the feelings? Can he do and will he do better than last time?
I
Like I know you're supporting him, but in your
uh,
honest opinion, where do you feel? Because I feel like he should be doing better than last time, right?
yeah. So of course I'm incredibly biased. I mean, he's my dad. I live with him, but it's different this time. It's a different feel. Last time he was the massive underdog. He was like, it's gonna be impossible. I don't know if it's even possible. This time it's like, I can maybe do it. I can maybe do it. And he's always very respectful, far away from the match, and always very realistic in his mind. But I it gets me thinking the weights. I remember the weights of what he was doing for Levon, and I know what he's at now, and I know what he was doing for Dennis, and that was the strongest he ever was. Looking like he's going to be stronger. So, looking like if everything goes to plan, if everything's on track, he's going to be the strongest he's ever been, and I think it'll be enough. I honestly think he can do it. I think he can stop Levon, and I think he can bleed him, and I think he can get the win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's that's what, all Devon fans really want to see. That's what,
yeah, of
you know,
course.
yeah. This has there been any big changes, or he saw that because last event, right? Him and Hermes pulled a similar, very similar. You look at those matches, him versus Georgi, Hermes versus Vitali,
Mhm.
similar matches, right? So the
Very.
strengths are there. Or has he changed anything without giving it too much away?
Yeah, so I would say it's very similar. Not much has changed in the way of like how he's getting ready for Levon. It's the same. Like he's got a King's move. Everybody knows it's going with King's move. It's the two big questions: is he going to be strong enough to crack the wrist, and is he going to be healthy enough to not blow his arm apart? And and I think that he will be. I think that he will be ready.
Okay. Okay. I hope we will see much better match than before. I because I know that means the world to Devon and the arm wrestling world for sure. Um, so I saw one super chat from SG Records. Take his soul, Auden. We love Jody. Uh, is there anything you want to say to your opponent on February 24th? Is there a message? I'm gonna send it to him.
Perfect. I'll say off the bat, thank you so much, Whisperer, for allowing me to crush you February 24th. Ha ha ha. But I do feel good. I feel ready. I'm 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 coming there to beat him. I'm not coming there to give him anything. So I'm gonna try my best to destroy him, and I hope he does the same to me.
Very good. Very good. I'm very excited. I hope everyone else is excited. King of Table 10, me, Auden, and much more is going to be there live on pay-per-view. You can find link in description. You can support this guy on Armbet. Yeah, good times. Good times. Thank you for talking with me. And I'll see you